I've watched a round at the NFR where 4-1 won the round and 4-2 was last hole. And I was 4-3 in the crying hole, and I was pretty upset that night. You're only 2/10 out of first, and you got nothing.
Rodeo time.
Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. My next guest is somebody that has had a pretty successful career. In fact, he tied the amount of gold buckles that I have last year. 9-time NFR qualifier and 5-time world champion steer wrestler, Tyler Waguespack. Tyler, thanks for joining, man.
Man, I'm happy to be here.
I bet not. You're happy to be here, but we could see you have a sling on your arm.
Circumstances aren't all that great. I thought you'd invite me to talk to you after, I tied you, but I guess you waited till I was on injured reserve. Now we got time to chat.
Well, yeah, now I know you can't get past me this year. Well, I guess we don't know that for sure. I mean, you may be able to come back. You have, you got 32,001. You're 24th in the standings right now. If you are able to get back, which I know you have the same mindset I had, you let me on the back of a horse, and I'm going to go try to dominate the best I can, whether it's a 2-month period or whatever.
I talked a lot with the doctor. I talked a lot with the specialist that they want me to go and start seeing next week, and with my therapist that I have down home, Andrew Shea down in Texas, and we kind of got a goal set. If I can get it set up to where I can get rolling again within 2 months, then we'll go ahead and go back to it. But if for any reason I'm not going to be 100% in those 2 months, then I'm just going to hold out and wait till the 2025 season. I think I still got a couple more years in the tank, so I don't want to just ruin it and mess up and have a half an arm the rest of my career, So we're not going to do anything stupid anyways.
Yeah, 100%. You're 33 years old right now?
33 right now, yes, sir.
Yeah, so you got plenty of time. And I got to ask, because when I popped my bicep, I was actually in transition from the saddle horn to the steer's back. And I had my weight on him. The horse went to make a little move, and I just held. And when I held, I felt it pop. I felt something. I didn't know what happened. I felt it pop. I catch his head, and this was Pooch. Catch his head, and I rock, and I go to get the nose. And as soon as I go to hook the nose, this arm just goes like that. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Yep. Yours was a different go though. Man,
mine was whenever the horse left the box. The first stride, I watching back on the video, the first stride seemed fine. On the second stride, I can remember telling myself, man, how did the barrier just hit me in the arm? Because that was the only thing I could think of. It just felt like a little whop right in the crease of my arm. And as I got to the steer, I went to get across his back, and I couldn't use my saddle horn at all. My arm was just almost numb. So it kind of dawned on me. I knew what had happened then. So just kind of ejected, made sure kind of save the rest of my body, get out of the way, and walked over to sports medicine, and they're sitting there, well, sit down, go ahead and breathe. And I'm like, man, look, we don't have to do all this. I know what's going on. Just pull my sleeve up. And the bicep was all pushed up. But we flew into Salt Lake, got the MRI done. You actually got me hooked up with Dr. Murray. Dr. Murray had one of the guys in his office, Dr. Hewish. He's the one that wound up doing the surgery on me, but the very next day. And we're in sling now, got a couple more days to rest like this, and then hopefully get back to therapy. And like I say, if we got a chance to bulldog more this year, great. If not, we're going to hopefully be seeing you guys next year.
Well, what I love about the doctors in the rodeo business is, that was a Sunday. You got some calls into Dr. Pepper Murray on Sunday, got your MRI done. Well, you got that done on a Sunday too, right?
A guy came and met me at the hospital on Sunday to go and do the MRI, so I would have it all set up and ready. And I started driving to Salt Lake just to bring it to the doctor's office to hopefully get an appointment just to meet with one of the doctors. And while we're on the way, they called to see if we had anything to eat that day. And I said, no. I said, just in case you guys were wanting to catch a wild hare and do surgery. And he said, we'll put you under the knife at 1. I said, well, I am on the way. So
that's crazy how that, get up in the morning, most everybody wants to eat breakfast, and just that, whatever that intuition was not to do it. And then boom, you're fixed up. And the best part about it is, for people that aren't medically inclined, don't know surgeries, when you pop a tendon, the longer it sits unfixed, it balls up and curls up and retracts, and they have to pull it back down to reattach it. So you were not even a week of popping it to fixing it.
I was 36 hours out of popping it whenever I was under the knife. And they were actually, Dr. Hewish, he was very impressed. He said that it was very clean deal where it just popped the tendon right off the bone. He said that was a lot easier for the healing process because he could just go in and reattach the tendon to the bone. We don't have to wait for tendon to heal to tendon. He said that would be taking a little bit longer and do a lot more stretching process and stuff like that. So he said if there was a way to pop it that was good, which there's no way of doing it that's good, but he said if there was a good way, this was the way to do it. So that kind of made me breathe a little easier. So like I say, we got a long road ahead of us, but we're going to put in some time and see if we can't get it going.
Well, let's talk about your career. Obviously 5 world championships, almost 2.3 million in career earnings. And I could remember when you first came on the scene way back when. What was your first year rodeoing? Was it 11 or 12 or 13?
I rodeoed on a permit in 2011, just went to a couple rodeos other than my circuit and stuff like that. And 2012 wound up being my rookie year.
Well, here on the Luke Branquinho Show, we do a segment called Rodeo Trivia. In the rough stock events, how many seconds must the rider stay on?
What didn't you pop your bicep or your pec at Houston too?
I tore my pec at the Ram finals in Oklahoma City. We were throwing the extras down, or throwing the steers down before the finals started, and we got all the way done. I'd done put my T-shirt back on, walking out of the arena, and the judge hollered out, "Hey, one of the extras got in with the team ropers. Anybody want to throw him down?" I put my shirt back on, walked back to the buck and shoots, and the steer wound up tearing my tearing my pec, and I was out for it was supposed to be 6 months for that, and I entered Reno 10 weeks after surgery and won the first round on my first year back.
Oh man. So what what year was that? Because it seemed like from that point on your success just really skyrocketed.
Yeah, that was 2013 that I tore my pec, and like I say, I've been fortunate, haven't had any other major injuries until this year, so that's been lucky so far.
And first trip to the NFR was 2014, correct?
No, sir, 2015.
15. That's right.
Yes,
I couldn't remember if it was if you and Kyle Irwin both rode Stitch that year at the finals or not. But I mean, just for me getting to watch it, because obviously in 15 I was on my way out, so I didn't get to. That was the only year you and I got to compete at the NFR at the same time, and just being able to watch your career and impressive. And I get so many people asking me like, well, he's gonna get past your record, or what, not record, your gold buckles. I said, man, there's no reason why he shouldn't, because I've never seen in my whole career anybody that has been as consistent and make so few mistakes and never put yourself in a bad situation. And that's what's impressive to me about you, is you're always put yourself in the best possible situation where you don't make mistakes.
Well, I appreciate that. And I do appreciate the compliment. And I've had one of them I've been wanting to tell you since you told me about being on this show. All the guys were talking the other night about, whenever you were growing up and stuff, who was the guys that you wanted to be like and all that kind of stuff. And I said, I know I got to talk to Luke here in a couple of days on the Luke Branquinho Show. I said, that was my first autograph I ever got as a kid is Luke Branquinho. I said, I still got the hat at my house. Me and Dad at Jackson, Mississippi, we walked up to you and got your autograph. So
oh, really?
That was kind of cool. Yep.
Wow, you make me feel old.
Sorry.
Yeah. But no, I just, and that's one thing that I try to stress to everybody. I was like, you watch him, he does not make mistakes. And I mean, I made a lot of mistakes when I was bulldogging, but how do you get yourself in that mind frame of, man, I just go do my job and let everything else fall? I mean, and it doesn't matter if they stop, if they run, if they're crappy on the ground, you always give yourself the best opportunity.
Ever since I was little, Dad's been the one that's always been telling me even now to this day in the practice pen, he's there every day at the house. He'll always tell you, slow down, do your job correct. And that's what makes you win so much. I find there's so many guys that get out in the rodeo arena and they beat themselves. Whenever we go home, we're going to practice, and we're not necessarily trying to make the fastest run every time. We're trying to make the most correct run every time.
Right.
And if you can make that correct run 95% of the time, it's going to win way more times than not. So no matter what steer you have, no matter what the setup is at the rodeo, you still got a job to do. You got to see a good start. You got to ride all the way up their back. You got to get all their nose and get a flat fall. So, I mean, that's the goals that we're looking for each time.
But yeah, back in the practice pen, getting the flat fall. And I know all the clinics that I teach, You see guys when you first start, they want to hit sideways and rip that out of there. And, if you have a good one, yeah, it might work. But I try to tell them, I said, if you could stay square, slide them and get a feel for where they're at in the practice pin, I promise you will not slide them that far at the rodeo. But you have to have a feel and know where they're at.
I tell kids all the time, and even the guys in the practice pen with me, if you're going to go out there and draw the 3-5 steer, you and I can both be 3-5, and so can a high school kid that hits the barrier on the steer that's 3-5. I mean, somebody's just starting. The steer is that good. But the guys that I find that win are guys that can go and throw the steer that can be thrown from 4-2 to 4-7 and throw that steer consistently. And so that's why I say that steer there, you can't turn hip on him. You still got to hit square, slide him 4 or 5 feet and make your run on him to get that flat fall. So I think that's where guys win the most money at, is the guys that are disciplined enough to slow down on the middle of the road steers. Because, I mean, like I say, if you got the good one, don't matter who you are. A blind hog finds an acorn every once in a while, So you got to be disciplined enough on those middle of the road steers to be able to pick up those checks on those.
Well, and I also tell them too, those flat falls, how important they are, because when you do rodeo long enough, the judges know when you back in the box. They know this guy gets a flat fall every time. So they're on their toes. They're ready to drop the flag. Where if the guy backs in there and they hangs him up every time, and as well as I do, but tenths of a second are huge in our game. It could go from
100%.
winning a gold buckle to not winning a gold buckle. So if you could have that judge where he's on his toes ready to drop that flag because he knows you get a flat fall almost every time, you're even going to get one that's not a flat fall and you get a fast flag on him because that's what they're expecting from you.
100%. I've watched a round at the NFR where 4-1 won the round and 4-2 was last hole. And I was 4-3 in the crying hole, and I was pretty upset that night. You're only 2/10 out of first, and you got nothing.
Yeah, and just the mechanics of it, and obviously you were a student of the game for so long before you even started competing and putting in the work, before you start to the pro level, and it's paying off now. But you weren't always the biggest guy. I can remember when you first started, you were on the smaller end of them. And even when you won your first world championships, it's not like you were a Will Loomis size. And I bring Will up because I know you guys like to go back and forth with each other.
Yeah, everybody always thinks that me and Will have a grudge against one another. We literally call each other 4 times a day. I mean, we're both pulling for one another to win. I mean, yeah, we joke around with one another, but one of my best friends. But as far as the size deal goes, yeah, I mean, growing up, my dad has always stressed to me about, being in the right position, and would like to watch videos of different guys. Like, for instance, always use where you placed your feet. That was something that we always looked at as far as what we were trying to mimic almost in our steer wrestling. I mean, like I say, that's back whenever I was in high school weighing 135 pounds. But
Right.
The guys that are winning, we're trying to get in the best position as the way that they are. And I find that that's what really helped me kind of develop my steer wrestling, is, like I say, mimicking what we were seeing in different guys having success out there.
Well, and I know for me, I started when I was 11, so I didn't weigh very much. I had to, go back to that. You have to be in the right position. You got to have your feet set, your head catch. And I could remember getting drugged down the arena for 3 years. And the very first steer I slid, I was by myself. And I'd set the chute up where I could pop it, open it, and, do everything by myself. That's how much I love steer wrestling. But I could remember I caught a steer and I would just slid him out, and I made a good run. And I just got up so excited. And I look around, there wasn't a damn person in the arena. I was by myself because that's how much I wanted to do it, and how much better I wanted to get. I'd go practice, nobody around. I'd rig it up to where I could practice. And I could still to this day remember that feeling of the very first steer I slid at not very big age, or very big or very old. And these kids now, with these shoot doggins they have at the junior high rodeos, they're getting to experience that.
Oh, like I say, there's so many more opportunities for kids nowadays to have a place to go and have success. I mean, me and Oatberry, me and him, we get at each other all the time. I mean, we've got a great relationship.
You mean Oatberry?
Yes, I do. I mean Oatberry. Yes.
Hey, Oat.
But I hate to give him credit, but he's doing a great job. I think the Junior World Finals is doing tremendous things for steer wrestling out there. You got kids at different jackpots excited to go and put up their entry fees because they get a chance to go to Vegas and compete for saddles, buckles, great money, scholarships going into that deal and stuff. I mean, it's really opening up a lot of doors for steer wrestling, and for younger guys that maybe you're I mean, they may not even have started off that hungry, but whenever they see the opportunity that they have, I mean, you get pretty hungry about it whenever you know that you got opportunities to go.
Well, and you're seeing kids now, and I'm going to use Bridger Anderson. I don't know if he won the first Oatberry, but he was a Oatberry champion, made the national finals. You got Guy, you're at their place right now, Cash Rob, will be at the national finals. And these guys have got to experience that pressure at a young age. So when they get to that level, that pressure, they don't have to worry about it.
100%. Growing up, whenever I got out of high school, I had to bear down and go and beat you. And I mean, that there's not a whole lot of people that can go out there year after year and have to try to beat the world number one and tell themselves that, okay, it's going to work. It's going to work. Whereas nowadays kids have so many opportunities and places to go and have that success level, build up their confidence for whenever they're ready to get to that top level. Just like you say, they've already seen the pressure. They've already had a taste of that adrenaline, and they're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. And, when you talk about Will Loomis, you guys being good buddies, you guys have traveled together, but how important a crew of, the guys you put yourself in the rig with day in and day out, and how you feed off of them, how important that is. Absolutely.
I've been blessed to be able to travel with tons of great guys. I mean, Tyler Pearson, Kyle Irwin, Rowdy Remy Parrott, Clayton Haas, just tons of big name guys out here that I've had tons of success with. And it's awesome to be able to be in a rig like that where the guys are always pushing you to be better. Every time we may go out there and I may not have a very good run, but I'm running right back to the box because I'm trying to help my crew to do better, because we know whenever our truck pulls up at a rodeo, we're going to get a big chunk of the money. And It has you tons of confidence whenever you pull in and have that mindset and have those guys standing right next to you to push you to be better. I mean, you're feeding off of one another. Whenever somebody's 3 something, you're wanting to be 3 just like them. Whenever somebody has a bad run, you're right there to pick them up for the next rodeo.
Well, and a lot of people don't understand the connection that you have. Like the guys I rodeoed with, I mean, I consider them family, brothers. My parents took them in. Hell, my parents talked to them probably more than they talk to me some to this day, guys like Jason Miller, Les Shepperson, Billy Buganig is somebody that I really, loved rodeoing with because he was so smart. He knew the cattle. He was like an encyclopedia for bulldog and steers. And in fact, one story, we were somewhere and I was like, "Hey, Bill, I got this one. What is he?" "Geez, Luke, you ran him last week and won first. You don't remember?" I'm like, "That's why I have you, Bill. I don't remember him." But guys like him, Gabe Ledoux, and there's so many that I'm going to forget that probably going to offend them if they hear this. But I tried to put myself in those situations to where they helped me win and I helped them win. And if you can put yourself in that situation, it makes winning that much easier.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that it's bulldoggers are the camaraderie we have. It's all just like a big family. Like I'm at Cash Rob's house right now in Altamont, Utah. Vernal, Utah is going to be going on this week. So I think there's probably 12 or 15 guys over here that are bulldogging. We was all sitting down for breakfast this morning. They're all sitting right out here in the practice pen right now running steers. Every one of them helping each other to do better. I don't know any other event in rodeo or any other sport rather that people will stand right beside one another and try to help them beat each other. And they're only wishing for the best for one another. Roy Duval, in fact, said it the best. Roy Duval said that at the end of the year, they give a buckle away that says world champion. He said, "How cool is it to hold up a buckle that says world champion, knowing that you did everything you could to help everyone else achieve the same goal and you still came out on top?"
Yeah, 100%.
I remember sitting at breakfast there in Chakotah, listening to stories of him and Mr. Bill and Oat and all the old bulldoggers and stuff. And we had breakfast there every morning for 2 years, and I never heard the same story twice. So it's kind of a cool place to hang out and listen to bulldogging.
I took Cade, my oldest, to Riley's to catch his first ones there at Riley Duval's, and Bill was there the first day. And my goodness, the stories that man has, they need to write a book on the Duvals because it's pretty cool to sit back and listen to them. A lot of the younger kids probably wouldn't understand them or get them, but I think our generation, our era understands. Like, man, that was rodeoing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we got it easy out here right now. Them guys, they were doing it the hard way.
They didn't have cell phones. Hell, I don't even know if they had much for maps. It was just kind of go by the feel.
They said Roy Duval has never used a map a day in his life, just remembered how to get to every rodeo after the first time he went.
I'm not surprised. It's pretty impressive. And you think about entering. They used to have to sit on a payphone to call into Procom to enter. Now we do it. Well, I guess you guys do it online.
We don't have to call anybody no more. It's all electronically. We can sit there, log in, and punch down what we want, and we're good to go. Yeah, they had to sit at a payphone with a sack of dimes, hoping they can get in.
Hope that they didn't. Hope they got hooked in before the entries closed. Oh, man, times have changed. It's so crazy. Horsepower now. I mean, you got your 5 gold buckles, and I know for mine, I attributed a lot of that to my horsepower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to ride some great horses. I won the first gold buckle on Cadillac, owned by Mr. Mark Wallace. Well, his whole family really, and Cadillac kind of put me on the map, and that was what really gave me a sure enough big boost of confidence and everything. And then after that, I wound up winning one of them off of Scooter, and then I got Casper on pretty much 2.5 of the last 3. He had got hurt in the 2022 NFR, and Rowdy Parrott's horse DC was able to finish it off for me and come back and won it again on Casper. It's awesome to be able to pull up at a rodeo and know that whenever you back in the box, you've got so much confidence on, you can hit the start and you can get there faster than anybody else, and the horse is going to set your feet the way that you need to make the run that you can. I mean, it's a big boost of confidence, and just give you that pride to back in the box knowing that you're fixing to win something.
Well, for sure. And I know for me, my first world championship was on Gunner, and I don't know if Gunner was around in 15. Did you ever see Gunner? I don't know if
never in person.
Anyway, he was some sort of bad man. Like, he'd get off and he would just go ahead and take a left, but he was hauling butt doing it. So he'd set your feet perfect. And, he was awesome. But then go to Willie, won a gold buckle on, and then Rusty, obviously. And, all 3 different goes, 3 different feels, but they get your feet on the ground so fast. You don't have to think about anything else. Okay, got my feet on the ground. Then we go back to what we talked about, slowing down and going through the motions and doing it right. Flat falls. And it was all because of those horses that I was able to get my feet on the ground fast and win what I did.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I'm having a lot of luck this year with Cheese. Cheese is going to leave sharp. He makes a big left step. And if you are not on your toes riding right, he's going to dust you. Like, he will get out of there a little bit early. And if you're not riding correct, he's going to show you about it. But I like it because I really find that I hustle a horse really sharp. And whenever he does kind of make his little move where he's ducking out of the way, I'm already in behind the horns. And like you say, it's setting your feet down so good. And my green horse right now, Mac, which I got Mac and Cheese, they kind of go together. But Mac is just nothing but a ball of speed and runs directly by. In fact, I'm watching out the corner of my eye right now. Cash Rob is actually working him right now. He just ran 2 of them on him. And but just runs a straight by go, but he's really putting them horns into you and kind of rocking you back. You got to fight to get back forward to make your runs on him. And so, I think it's going to be great here in the future to have 2 horses that have 2 very different goes, but I think it's going to also help out whenever you get to different setups of steers. Whenever you got a stopper, I want Cheese to be able to get out of the way and get my feet on the ground. Whenever you got that runner, I'll have Mac to sure enough be able to run one down.
Yeah. Well, and similar to me, like the horses you won your world championships on, they didn't all have the same go. Cadillac, not like Casper, and Casper, not like Casper. What was the second one you said? Scooter. I don't know why.
Tyler Pearson. Why can you not get this one? Come on.
I forget. Tyler who? Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have an arena record on Scooter. I think I was something fast at Albuquerque, but that was in an ERA rodeo. I don't even know if those count anymore. But that
throw the flag. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Replay. But Scooter was a bad cat too.
Steer, though?
What's that?
Was that the ERA year whenever they had the black baldy steer?
Oh yeah, that was him.
Heck yeah. Oh, I remember the run. It was absolutely nasty.
I probably could have been faster if I didn't ride over the top of him first. But Pearson was always bad about telling me to ride up there and rain at him. I don't know why, but anyway.
He's always full of knowledge.
He is full of knowledge.
But you got to give him credit. He does kind of know what he's talking about.
A little bit. We don't tell him he knows what he's talking about, but he does have a pretty good idea. I did love when I was looking for a bull iron horse for my kid. He's like, man, I got a good one here. We've run about 10 on him. Be perfect for Kate. I'm like, Pearson, you ran 10 on this one? Ain't happening. but I had to give him quite a bit of crap about that one. But no, it's the camaraderie and the friendships that I've made, much like you have. I mean, traveling around, like I said, you're in Utah right now. I mean, you can go in any state and find a place like that to go practice and hang out, and they take you in and take care of you.
Man, it's awesome. People all around, they treat you like family. Like we over in Colorado, we got Chisholm Doshev's house. His whole family's they treat us just like we're one of them. Whenever we're up in the Northwest, we always go hang out at Travis Carnine's house. Always cooking, hanging out, playing golf. Just whatever to kill the day and everything. And I mean, it's like I say, you can go pretty much anywhere in the country, and you've got help, you've got family everywhere.
That's for sure. We talk about after surgery, probably not going back to Louisiana. It's going to be pretty hot and humid. You're going to stay out. And is Sarah entered up, your wife? Obviously, Sarah runs barrels, made the national finals, but is she going to get going?
She's got some futurity horses, and all the futurities are within about 2 or 3 hours of Cash's house right here. And just over the mountain is Salt Lake, where I'll have to do all the therapy and all kinds of stuff. So it's nice weather. It's kind of a pretty good little place to hang out and start getting healed up. So yeah, she and I will be able to go to a bunch of places here the next couple of weeks and kind of get away from bulldogging for a month or so and do a bunch of barrel racing stuff, get this arm back going, and then, like I say, hopefully in another month or two, be able to squeak back in the truck and see what we can do with the rest of the year.
That is probably one of the easiest surgeries you'll ever have, and I know from experience. I mean, what'd you say? It wasn't even an hour-long surgery?
No, it was just under an hour surgery.
I know when I had mine, same deal. Dr. Tandy Freeman did mine, and I wake up and I'm like, wow, I'm ready to go. I mean, just get up, make a couple laps, and out the door. And then I'm sure you are just in a locked arm brace and
oh yeah, yeah, we got her padded up.
Yeah, and it's one of the easiest ones, which is scary in a sense because it never hurt. So you're always wanting to try to use it for something. So obviously be careful with not over.
Man, the worst thing I've had so far is trying to put my socks on. I cried like a little girl this morning struggling because I want to do it by myself, and I can't quite get the big toe hook to pull it up in there. I got to use both hands, and it's hard to get it down there.
Jess Lockwood actually sent me a deal when I did my hamstring, a sock deal. You put it on, it's like a half pipe. You put the sock on, and then it has two deals on it, and you pull it up. It was actually pretty slick. I'll have to see if I could find that. Because when I get older, I'm not going to be able to bend over as much. So I'm going to hang on to that thing.
I understand. Well, yeah, if I can get it right now, I'd be pretty happy because it's a struggle right now every morning.
Oh man. So fortunately it's your left arm and you're right-handed, right?
Yes, sir.
You haven't had any surgeries on your right?
Just the pec surgery. I've got a big scar across my right shoulder, but no, left arm we didn't have any problems with it until now, but hopefully we get her healed up.
So one thing that was really tough to do for me when I had my right arm surgeries was,
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I understand, but I'm right-handed, so I'm all right.
You're good now. I will
Absolutely.
say I became ambidextrous at it because I've had a lot of right arm surgeries and just a couple left, so go either way. But that first step through it was you have to wash your hands a lot.
The hardest thing I had was trying to shower. I had Visqueen, a trash bag, all kinds of stuff over this thing just so I could go get in the shower. And they said I can't get it wet for 10 days. So, yeah, I'm having a struggle trying to get all that done.
You get to stinking pretty bad, huh?
Yeah, and I'm out in the practice pen with the guys every day, so I know it's getting all sweaty and grimy and stuff. So, yeah, it's not going to be too pleasant by the time I get it off.
Well, before I let you go, I want to talk about your dad and the impact he's had, your family actually. But man, I can remember when you were young, your dad, and he was always so awesome, so kind, and just a great guy. But what he had and the impact he had on your career.
Dad, whenever I was growing up, I tell it all the time, I didn't know that my dad wasn't Steve Duhon or Oak Berry or one of those guys. Whenever I was at the house and he was in the practice pen with all the guys that he rodeoed with, I mean, I'm right there pulling for all of them just like I would a national finals qualifier, He never really left the circuit, kind of stayed there around the house and everything. I had 3 older sisters and me. And whenever I started steer wrestling, man, it was like all hands on deck. Like whatever I needed, he was there. He'd get home in the afternoons from working all day, and he and I was in the practice pen until dark every afternoon. Most of the time, just him and I. And he always had a way of making it feel like he's never the parent that would scold you for doing something wrong or anything. He was always one that would make it to where you were having success together, or you were making progress together. So whenever I did start having all the success and all the stuff started coming in, that was our win. That wasn't,
Right.
necessarily mine. And I mean, I think that's why me and him have such a close relationship. I mean, it bugs my wife, but I still call him as soon as I make a run. I call her second still, so she kind of gets bugged about that. But Dad still knows what we do at the rodeo first.
Well, I mean, very similar to mine too. My dad hazed all the way through high school, and I ended up getting a haze horse when I was pro road, and he wanted to get on and haze one for me in the practice, but he was a rough riding son of a bitch. And he hazed one for me. He's like, I'm done. You don't need me to ride this rough. And he was cussing the whole time. But very similar. I mean, when it was steer wrestling time, it was whatever he needed to do to help me to be successful. And, I think to have that type of support, it just makes it so much easier to win, and it makes those wins so much sweeter.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, you got somebody to share it with. Like there's 15 guys in the practice pen right now, and Dad, I can see him over there right now. He's the man on the head gate, and he keeps telling everybody good job every time they run a steer. He's out there in the middle of it, just loving it.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. Best of luck on the recovery. Don't overdo it, because I know how our minds think. Make sure you listen to what the doctors say, and we're looking forward to the return of Tyler Waguespack.
Yeah, like I say, hopefully it's to the end of 2024. But if not, we'll crack back out in the beginning of 2025 and go back at him again.
All right, man. Well, good luck, and thanks again.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bud.
Well, here on the Luke Branquinho Show, we do a segment called Rodeo Trivia. In the rough stock events, how many seconds must the rider stay on? The rider must stay on for 8 seconds to be considered a qualified rider. Hey, you want to see more in-depth details on the Luke Branquinho Show? Make sure you like and subscribe.